Number 10. Dead Man Wonderland. Dead Man Wonderland is a pretty violent anime. I mean, it is basically about a group of people participating in a series of death games where chances of survival are almost non-existent. Given the premise of the series, it isn't a surprise that betrayal is a major factor here, but the way it happens makes the betrayal part so good. When Ganta's friends were murdered by an unknown red entity, he is forced to participate in the death games while bearing the blame of the murders. But later, Ganta learns that his childhood friend Shiro was the one who murdered his buddies, and you can pretty much guess what happens next. Ganta loses his mind but later sticks to his strong morals after learning that Shiro was the subject of some gruesome experiments, most of which were led by Ganta's mother herself. Talk about going full circle.
Once the old you's dead and gone, then you gotta own up to whatever takes its place.
No problem.
Number 9. Berserk. The first Berserk anime adaptation is a lot better than people give it credit for. The rawness of the art combined with the rather complicated relationship between Guts and Griffith makes the show a roller coaster of a watch. After losing Griffith and joining his group, Guts finds himself in a mercenary group where he spends most of his time as the main muscle. After achieving fame and knighthood, Guts chooses to leave the group away from Griffith's influence. But when he returns to save Griffith from a group of psychotic demons, Griffith chooses to embrace a new fate and screws his friend real hard. Everyone dies with Guts, and Casca being the only survivor. After all those shenanigans, Guts lives the rest of his life protecting Casca, fleeing from hellish demons who now hunt him, and looking for Griffith to get his sweet, sweet revenge. And this new Guts is way stronger, is equipped with a hand cannon, and has a new crew capable of using magic. Number 8. Arifuretta. From commonplace to world's strongest. Arifuretta is a very well executed anime with a great story, proper character development, and tons of surprises to look forward to. The story revolves around a group of students who are summoned into a new fantasy world with superhuman abilities. Among them, Hajime Nagumo only gets a transmutation ability that has little to no use. After seeing how weak Hajime is, one of his classmates, whose name I won't reveal, betrays him and throws him into the bottom of an abysmal space. Hajime vows to find his way back to the top, and along the way, he befriends a vampire named Yue, who joins him on his quest to be the world's strongest and returning on top.
私が話すと思うのかい?
Number 7. The Heroic Legend of Arslan. This is one of those animes where the protagonists get royally screwed, pun intended, along with his entire roster of allies. The Heroic Legend of Arslan is set during the rather ancient times, and the only two things that mattered were war and power. In a world like this, Arslan, the Prince of Ars, is set to prove himself a worthy warrior to his kingdom, his people, and most importantly, his father. During his first battle against the Empire of Lusitania, Arslan suffers at the hands of a dreadful betrayal. One of his most trusted allies betrays his kingdom, causing Pars to fall, which ultimately results in Arslan being on the run. With a price on his head and a kingdom to win, Arslan sets out on a journey with his remaining allies, making new allies and mustering experiences. All of this for the day where he comes back to take his kingdom back. Number 6. Vinland Saga. You might be surprised to see Vinland Saga on this list, but this anime is more than just a bunch of Vikings swinging axes for the sake of their honor and the glorious death they seek, which leads them to Valhalla. Our main character, Thorfinn, is the center point of the story, and he is pretty much driven by a strong sense of vengeance and the bitterness of betrayal. After his family is murdered by a bunch of Vikings, Thorfinn is taken in by them and raised among his family's murderers. But this does not mean that he has forgotten the stain on his honor. The whole point of revenge and betrayal is an underlying tone in this anime, but nonetheless, it is still a key factor. This sense of vengeance also makes Thorfinn one of the most well-written and in-depth characters in modern anime. Number 5. 91 Days. After witnessing the brutal murder of his family and his younger brother at the hands of the Vannetti Mafia family, Angelo Lagusa, a child who lives in the town of Lawless, leaves behind everything and disappears, leaving no trace behind. With his disappearance, he takes on a new name, and hence we get to witness the birth of a whole new character. So yes, you will get to see some rapid-fire character development in this anime. Lagusa, who is now known as Avilo Bruno, returns to Lawless after receiving a letter that seemingly opens the door for revenge. Revenge that he had been longing for his entire life.
Who are you really?
I was born Angelo. You murdered my father. Testa Lagusa.
Number 4. Chivalry of a Failed Knight. Chivalry of a Failed Knight is again one of those unfortunate animes that never got to season 2, despite the first season being hella awesome. This story is more about abandonment rather than betrayal, but you are technically betrayed when your family completely disregards you as a member. Iki Kurogane is the worst student in Hagun Academy, a school for powerful individuals capable of manipulating their souls to use powerful forms of weapons. But, of course, for how long can the main character remain the worst? Sooner or later, they will reveal that they have some kick-ass abilities, and Iki is no exception. After being disrespected and disregarded by his family for being weak, Iki has spent his whole life training to be the absolute best. And he shows us his true powers when he takes down one of the prodigy knights without breaking a sweat. Number 3. Dororo 2019. Similar to our previous entry, this is again an anime that is initialized by the abandonment factor rather than betrayal. But unlike most animes, the main character slowly realizes that he had been disposed of when he was a child, and after he learns the truth about his origins, he spends the rest of his life getting back what is rightfully his. Hyakimaru's body parts were traded by his father to some ancient entities in exchange for the prosperity of his kingdom. The result of this was a child with nothing but meat in his body. No skin, no bones, and no organs. However, Hyakimaru survives and lives the rest of his life inside of a puppet made for him by his foster father. Upon learning the truth about his life, Hyakimaru spends his life hunting the demons, whose death will grant him his body parts back.
お前が何を守ろうと関係ない。俺は鬼神を切って取り戻す。全部。
Number 2. Kaze no Stigma. I'm always shocked at the fact that this anime barely makes any list at all. Consider the fact that it is so freaking awesome and has one of the best betrayal storylines and a very satisfying comeback from the main character. Kaze no Stigma follows the story of Kazuma Yagami, who was banished from his clan because of his inability to perform wind-style magic. He returns back to his home and his clan 4 years later, mastering the art of fire magic, and is ready to earn the respect that he deserves, only to be framed for the murder of some clan members.
Anyway, I understand if you want to blame me, so you can go ahead and use the blade you've got hidden in your sleeve.
And finally, number 1. The Rising of the Shield Hero. I mean, it is one of the landmark animes about betrayal in modern times, and considering how it broke the internet in 2019, The Rising of Shield Hero deserved the number 1 spot on this list. After being summoned to a new world as the Shield Hero, Naofumi is accompanied by the kingdom's princess, Mine, as his new adventure partner. But after a night out with the princess, Naofumi is framed by the princess for sexual assault and other inappropriate activities. And yes, he never did any of it. This causes Naofumi to be exiled from the kingdom and so sets out on his own journey, finding new allies along his way and powering up to face any obstacle that may come in his way. All in all, this show is a must-watch, and Naofumi's growth is really a spectacle.
とか言って私の服を無理やり引きちぎったんです。
So, that was our list. If you feel like any character got betrayed by us and was left out, then do them the justice of mentioning their names in the comment section. This is Anime Ikigai, and we will see you in the next video.